Hey everybody, Lucas Martin from ARC. I'm joined by Emily Werkeiser from SAP. Really appreciate the time today.
Yeah.
So we were talking a little bit earlier, and I'd love to just go in a little bit more detail about your current role with SAP.
Yeah, so my current role, I'm an intern on the field marketing team, and I cover the different lines of business. So we have 6 different solution areas, and I get to work with each of the field marketing teams, catering to those customers in those specific solution areas.
And can you talk a little bit about how you first started with SAP? How did you get into the role?
Yeah, so initially I had an internship towards the end of college through the Knoll Network. I graduated from Florida State at the end of summer, and through there I was able to network and find some people from SAP who were really integral to helping me get this position and giving me the mentorship that I needed to figure out, SAP's company culture, why it was such a good place to work for, what their values were, which really align with my values. Ended up helping me in the application process, and now here I am.
Well, I'm glad that worked out for you, and I think you just touched on something that's pretty critical. Is you gotta work for companies, or even when you're going through the application process, etc. Right? Obviously, you have to put your name out there, but I think it's super critical to do the research about what the company's values are, what their initiatives are for the next year, etc. Because if you don't align with those, it's gonna make work slower. It's going to make work not as enjoyable. So I think some of the work you do on the front end can really help that out. And it sounds like it's going well for you. So it's good to hear.
Yeah.
So we were talking earlier, and this is actually your first industry event. I'd love to get your perspective on, or your takeaway so far from the event. What are you learning? What are some of the trends or topics you're picking up on? How are the people treating you? How's everything going for you?
No, it's been super great. Everyone's very, very welcoming, especially with it being my first event.
Yeah.
Everyone's excited for me to be here. I'm excited to be here. We've met a lot of great customers. We've met a lot of great partners that we've been working with. So it's been really good. And as far as the content of the event, I find it very interesting. I love learning about sustainability. I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Especially, I think in the keynote this morning, they were talking about how if companies in this industry aren't moving to a more sustainable platform, they're going to start to fall behind. And I'm totally with that. And I think Gen Z is totally with that too.
100%. And it's only going to become more and more impactful. I feel like we're kind of to this point where companies are starting to be more realistic about their sustainability
more
goals.
Transparent.
We were in this kind of greenwashing stage for the last 5-10 years where companies acted like they had it all figured out. And I feel like more transparency is what we're seeing now, right? Companies are being more honest. We don't have this all figured out. It's not perfect, but we're actively working on it. And I think that transparency helps, number one, the overall market, right? Everybody sees what the other companies are doing, what their competitors are doing, what their customers are doing, etc. A lot of companies are having similar struggles, right? So the more transparent they can be on the market, I think that's going to help the overall trend shift a little bit. So obviously there's still going to be some greenwashing, but I think that it's going to help the market shift again you see how many topics, how many sessions are relating to sustainability, energy transition. We have the oil and gas companies now taking this sustainability initiative on, and on top of it, the ESG reporting and tracking is all becoming more sophisticated.
For sure.
And like you said, I think Gen Z really values the companies that are really taking this taking this issue head on.
Absolutely.
And to be honest with you, I know obviously we control where we buy products, right? I know a lot of our generation is really starting to take some of this into account, and we're starting to see ROI improve. We're starting to see really some of the return on investment be there. And I think as more people are more environmentally cautious, it's gonna just keep expanding. So the companies that are ahead are really gonna start profiting more and more, and the companies that fall behind are really gonna start losing some of their market share. So
absolutely agree.
And I think one of the things that I talked about yesterday was being at an event like this can be a little intimidating, correct? Right?
Yeah,
we have some people that have been in the industry longer than we've both been alive combined, right? So it can be a little intimidating. One of the things that I'm starting to realize is the more I put myself out there, the more welcoming everybody is, right? So not everybody, like you said, everybody's been super nice. I feel like a lot of people are to the point where they want to start giving back to our generation.
For sure.
And we'd be fools not to capitalize on that information, right? So one of the things that we kind of wanted to stress on this podcast for any advancing professionals that are watching this is you really get out of it what you put into it, right? You have to put your name out there. You have to be proactive about these things. And a lot of these folks are more than willing to give you their time, their energy, their expertise. So you just have to find the right people, and obviously be a sponge, soak up that knowledge as best as you can.
For sure. And that's another reason why I love what you guys are doing with the Emerging Professionals podcast. I think this is so helpful. We've gained help from our mentors, and then now we're giving back as much as we can.
Could you talk a little bit about, so you said at SAP you guys have like an intern program. I know you came in with a couple of young folks, but how do you guys stay connected within your company?
Yeah, so we do frequent events within the intern program, but also me and the 3 other interns that I came in with on my team, we have weekly meetings just to catch up, talk about where we are in our internships, who we're connecting with, and how we can help each other to further advance our careers.
So that's one of my favorite parts of the week is when we meet with our AP group, right? So not only was it good to get more exposure to the young people at our company, and we're a smaller company, obviously you guys are a big company, but it helped almost with the onboarding process. When I was first getting started, there's so much that goes into the back end of our company that I wasn't exposed to. So obviously I'm in business development. We do a lot of market research. We have a lot of analysts. We do a lot of custom projects. We do advisory services. So one of the things that I think really helped me out was learning about what everybody was working on every week, right? Like, hey, what's changing? What do you like doing? What do you not like doing? Oh, hey, how does this work? When you have a stupid question, you don't want to go to your boss with it. You come to the AP group with it, and we kind of hack our way through those problems. So it's one of my favorite meetings of the week. And I think not only, again, do you have to be proactive with the more experienced people at your company at events like this, but you have to be proactive with the young people at your company, right? Like making more of an effort to connect with them weekly, bi-weekly, monthly basis. And I think it's going to help overall, again, your onboarding, your understanding, your knowledge of the company, the ins and outs, how everything operates. It's going to help get you up to speed quicker. So that's one of my favorite parts of my week. And it's really been a pleasure kind of launching this program and kind of creating the framework from the ground up. It's been a good time, and we're still working on some things, don't get me wrong, but I do think that this group will have an impact. And I'll tell you what, from even June of our last forum to this forum, I've seen some younger faces. So that's something that with this group, we're really trying to capitalize on, because again, COVID happened. We saw a mass wave of retirements, right? Yeah. There's a lot of people in this industry that are going to retire, and we're going to lose a lot of that expertise, a lot of that energy, a lot of that infrastructure, so to speak. So we're the next generation of this industry, so why not start collaborating, start connecting earlier, so we can really share that knowledge pool and get it up to speed as quick as possible. Right. And like you're saying, the more that we connect with each other, it makes the idea of being in positions like we're in and positions like our predecessors are in seem way more attainable. 100%. 100%. You know the steps that you have to take to get to those positions, and it's more exciting once you're in it and you're 100%. Rising through the ranks. Absolutely. Sure. So one of the things I like to ask people on this podcast is, what do you feel you didn't learn in school, or you didn't spend time learning in school that you wish you would have, that would have better helped prepare you for real life? Yeah, no, I love this question, because I think that in school, a lot of, I was a business major. And so a lot of what I did was just learning different business concepts, but I think it would be so useful if schools were able to help us put those concepts into use and actually understand how these concepts are used in everyday business settings. If classes could be more project-based, so we could put that into practice and be able to prepare ourselves more, be able to build our portfolios before starting out in the corporate world, I think would be so useful. And so you're a business major. I studied information systems in school. So I learned a lot about, this is the latest, greatest technology. These are the new advancements. And I was in for a rude awakening when I was learning about all these technologies. And when I started my professional career, how far some of the companies are behind with some of these advancements, right? We learn about resistance to change. Well, that's something that's a real life problem. And I feel like we should have spent more time on it personally. And something I think that kind of gets glossed over, something that's pretty easy to forget being a young professional, right? We're around a bunch of people with, again, as much experience in the industry as we've been alive, right? So it's easy to kind of slide to the back of the room. But I think it's super important to highlight that we all have unique perspectives. We all have a unique skill set. Everybody can bring a piece of value to the conversation. So I know it can be a little intimidating, but don't get overshadowed, right? Speak up for yourself. We all have some value to bring to the conversation, and a lot of the experienced folks actually appreciate our younger perspective on that. So at events like this, it's sometimes easy to kind of fall to the back and be a sponge, but don't forget, we all have some value that we can bring to these conversations, to these sessions. We've had a couple of young speakers in the sessions, and those have been some of my favorites, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's easy to kind of gloss over that, but don't forget your value, right? Like we're all smart people, we all work hard, and we all have some sort of value to bring to the conversation. And it's easy to forget that, being new, being young. So don't sell yourself short, in essence. That's kind of my main takeaway from this event here.
Yeah.
So Emily, I know you got to get back to your booth. You're running out of time. Did you have any last comments for the group? Any last piece of advice that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I would just say really put yourself out there, because like we've been talking about earlier, the more that you show your face, even if you have to fake it till you make it, it really makes a difference. And people just want to know that you're a reliable employee, that you're going to show up for them, you're going to show up for yourself, come prepared. And it makes the world of a difference.
100%. And again, I said this earlier, but the more proactive you can be, the more hands you shake, the more people you introduce yourself to, the more people you add on LinkedIn, it's only going to help benefit you further down the line.
Absolutely.
A lot of these people want to give back. They have a whole host of experience, of knowledge, and they understand that we are in an aging industry. Industrial manufacturing, software, it's an aging industry. We're the future, and a lot of people want to give some of that back to us, but it's on us, it's on our shoulders to find those people, be proactive with it, be persistent with it, follow up, finding that fine line between following up and not bugging people too much, but staying on top of things and being as proactive as possible is only going to help you develop in your careers and kind of climb your way up the ladder.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, thanks so much for the time, Emily. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.